Welcome to Coach Hicks's ACT Science Boot Camp. This is mainly for everybody that won't be in here on Thursday because of either quarantine or you're taking the actual boot camp class. I'll have several of these videos. We're going to work problems together and all that kind of stuff. This is just introducing you to some concepts. Now, science is an interesting test when it comes to the ACT. There's a few things. I will have you a printout of this, and we'll also post it online for you so you can go back through it. But I wanted you to hear my spill on it. The science part is not really about science. Yes, right here it says some general scientific knowledge is helpful, but not really necessary. For example, there may be a problem about the distance from Earth to the moon. Okay, that's not something we normally teach in any high school sciences, at least in Alabama, or at least in Randolph County. So it doesn't really matter if you understand all the concepts with there. None of it on there is really about science, okay? It's more about just thinking logically and thinking reasonably, okay? So what it's really mostly about is endurance. Think about this. The science test is at the end of the day, right? The test day, at least. You take in English and reading and math, and you are thoroughly exhausted by that point. The last thing you want to do is sit there and think reasonably and logically and try to work through some things. You've got to get over that mindset, okay? You've got to understand that's what they're trying to trick you into, is to just throw reason out the window, okay? You are going to be exhausted. Brace yourself for it. When I coach cross country, there's something called embrace the suck. That means that when things start to suck, when they start to stink, be ready for them. Be knowing that when you hit the 2 mile, you're going to be thoroughly exhausted. And what do? You either give up or you're going to be ready for it and you push through it. Push through the science portion, okay? Be mentally strong when it gets to that point. All right? Don't let what you did on the test prior get you down. It's also about time management. Think about this for a minute. There's 40 questions in 35 minutes. That's not fair, right? It's really not. You've got to be able to do more questions than you have minutes. You can't even take a minute per question. That doesn't seem reasonable at all. It's not a measurement of how scientific you understand things, right? It's all a problem of, can I get through this? Can I get through this? Okay, so that's really what we're looking for. All right, the science portion is meant for you to fail it. But you're not going to, because I'm going to teach you a few things, all right? When we just look at the overview, by the way, this isn't what they tell you on the ACT, like practice stuff, because it's not the truth. They don't mind you failing it and doing poorly on it this time because you're going to pay next time and do it again. It's all about making money, all right? We're not even going to worry about that because you're going to do well on it this time. There's 6 to 7 passages. That's just what we call when we have these graphs and things or passages that you read. And each one of them has 5 to 8 questions. It mixes up. You'll hear somebody say, there's always 6 and there's 5 questions. No, not at all. That don't even add up to 40. I'm not good at math, but I know that. It's somewhere 6 to 7 and 5 to 8 questions apiece. All right, don't stress on that. Let's look at the percentages. This is what we're really worried about. 35% of it, roughly 35% of it's going to be graphs and charts. Okay, it is graphs and charts based on experiments that most of the time have never happened. Don't worry about the science behind it. Don't worry if you don't understand exactly what it's talking about, okay? If it's talking about a certain bacteria that's eating away at food, nobody cares, okay? You're probably never going to think about it ever again after the ACT. Don't stress about what's on it. Let's just worry about what we need to get right on it, all right? It's interpreting data. Can you read these graphs and charts and make sense of it very quickly, all right? 50%. So right, about half of the questions is going to come from understanding something about some research. Most of the time, it's not even real research. If it is, it's based loosely on some research, okay? You're going to be reading, but we're not really going to read. We'll see that in a minute. You're going to be summarizing these experiments, this research that's been done, all right? That's half the thing. It's not the reading portion. You're not reading for comprehension. I'm going to teach you here in a little bit how just to read it for the answers, okay? And then people always get up in arms about comparing differing opinions. Basically, one of these passages, 15% or so, is going to read two opposing viewpoints. And most people consider this to be the most difficult passage on here, okay? To me, this is the way my brain is wired. Graphs and charts is the easiest thing known to man. All right, you just have to read them, interpret them, and make some sense out of them. This one gets a little bit harder when it's summarizing experiments, but not really. We're going to teach you how to look for keywords. This one can be difficult, but it's really just comparing two sides. Think about a debate. If you were listening to two friends argue about what the best video game is, or what their favorite store to go shopping is, or who has the best music, you would listen to both sides, and you would hear where they're coming from. You would hear the things that they agree on, and you would hear the things that they don't agree on, and they're arguing about, right? All this is two viewpoints about some scientific, that doesn't matter if you understand it or not, passage to viewpoints. One person will say one thing, the other say the other. The questions have to do with, what do they agree on? What do they disagree on? Okay? So it's just kind of listening. Probably not going to be something you're interested in, but you can do it for 5 minutes. All right? So that's what the passage is going to be about. So let's look at some tips and tricks that we will look at in another video or in class of how to do this. All right, so if we're talking about, I didn't put these in order, sorry. If we're talking about the summarizing experiments or the differing viewpoints, don't read it from beginning to end. All right, this is the important part of the video. Listen to me. Do not start at the beginning and read the passage going la, 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 trying to understand every word, because there's going to be plenty of words that you don't understand. It's intended to be that way. You're not dumb, okay? It's intended that you don't understand all of it. Now, what they'd love for you to do, and I've even seen ACT practice things that tell you, read it from the beginning, read the passage thoroughly, then read the questions, then read the answers. No, we're going to do all that pretty much backwards. You need to go to the questions first. Don't even look at the paragraph. Read each question, okay? Start at the first one. It's probably not going to make a lot of sense, but what you're going to do is look for keywords. What's this question asking me? Then you're going to read the answers, at least scan them and go, okay, here's the answers. Then you're going to scan the passage looking for potential answers. You're still not even reading it for gaining information. It's not reading comprehension, okay? We'll see this as we go through some examples. We start at the questions. We read the questions. We try our best to understand that question. We look at the answers, okay? And then we go to the passage. Here's the beautiful thing. If you don't understand it on the first one, you move to the second one. If you want to throw a blind guess on there, you can. I'll kind of show you on a answer sheet how to make a mark or kind of half fill in a question or an answer, and that tells you I didn't really understand that one. I just guessed something so I can move on, okay? It's a numbers game. Remember, 40 questions in 35 minutes. That's not reasonable, okay? So you're going to make your best guesses on the ones that you can get. All right, so reading passages, either we're talking about the experiments or the differing opinions, start at the questions. Start at the questions, okay? And then look for answers. Some of y'all are really good at doing this. I know you do it in my class. I've talked to other teachers, especially things like history, and you just go to the question first, and then you start reading up through the slides or whatever to find the answer. That's what you're going to do, okay? Don't read that passage. Don't get lost in the mumbo-jumbo of the passage. Talking about the charts, this interpreting data part. First, you do want to kind of glance at the charts. We're not going to study the charts thoroughly, but you're going to look at the charts and say, what do these even show? Is it a bar graph? Is it a circle graph? Okay, or a pie chart, like you might have heard it called. What's it tracking? Some things to pay attention to. Most of the time, they have more than one chart or graph. So you want to say, okay, this is figure 1, and it's showing a couple of these things. Or this is study 2 over here, so let me understand that a little bit. What you're not going to do is read the passage first that generally comes before it. We don't care. Most of the time, it don't have a lot of good information anyway. We're going to look at the charts, and this is going to take all of 10 to 15 seconds, mind you. What are you looking at the charts for? Figure 1, study 1, kind of some brief. What is it showing? What are the axes? Okay, so think about a chart that's got kind of like this. It's you've got a horizontal, this is horizontal, and vertical side. Those are the axes. And hopefully you remember that from like geometry or whatever. What are the axes? What do they show? Does one side show temperature and the other one show over time, right? Because those are what the question is going to be about. Then after you kind of got a general idea of what the charts are, you're going to look at the questions, All right. You're not going to study the questions. You're not going to go crazy going back and forth. You're going to read the first one. What is it asking? And as you go look for the answers, you're going to make a basic interpretation of all that data. The first one may not give away what exactly is being shown, but most of the time it does. It starts letting you know, oh, this is talking about how bacteria eats away certain foods. All right. I kind of saw that when I was looking at it, but now the question's asking me, over a 4-hour period, which type of food is, consumed the most by this certain type of bacteria. Oh, okay. Now I see how that bar graph plays into it. The thing is, especially about charts, but also with these, if you'll do these hints and tricks, not reading the passage first, okay, going to the questions first, and then at the charts, just kind of glancing at the charts and going to the questions first, what you're going to find is there's something I like to call gimme questions. Gimme. Gimme are the easy ones. That's gimme points. You know what I'm saying? If you've ever played sports, sometimes there's, you might gimme a little bit. It's something you easily get. The gimme questions, each passage, so all of these have usually 2 to 3 that are super easy to find. It's as basic as just looking at the chart, going over this amount of time and going up and putting a finger right there and going, there's where it's at. There's the number that it is that it's looking for. The problem becomes when we look at the first 2 in this set of, let's just say 6, and they're a little hard. Oh no, this is going to be the most difficult thing in the world. Your mind starts racing. I don't get it. Coach Hicks said I need to go over here. Don't stress about it. Just move to the next one. Okay, because you're going to find that was a gimme question. And most of the time, the gimme questions open up your understanding of what's going on either in that summary that you're going to read or the charts that you're looking at. The gimme questions are the most important thing. So think about it. If 3 out of the, we'll just say 7 questions, that's almost half. So almost half the ACT is really, or the science portion, is gimme questions. They are easy ones. They are ones that you should be able to find out on your own. All right. So don't get lost trying to figure out them in order. All right. The best thing that you can learn to do for the ACT science. Now, hear me out. I'm finishing with this. The best thing you can learn to do is learn how to skip. Okay. And some of the other portions of the ACT, you shouldn't skip. But on the science portion, it actually is better for you to go through and get your gimme questions. Again, we'll look at an answer key, and I'll show you how I like to do it. I use a little line thing. You may just want to put a guess and then put a star. Remember, you can write all over this thing. On the ACT document, you can write, you can make notes, you can put scribbles, you can put big circles around the answers that you like or don't like. They're never going to reuse it. They don't care. And even on the answer key, you can make other lines as long as you remember to erase them. Right? It's a standardized, so they're going to scan it through a machine. And it's going to read. We don't want any extra lines. All right. The biggest thing you can do is learn how to skip ahead, and that really comes down to making sure you're on the same answer as you are question on the answer key. All right, or question as you are answer on the answers key. Sorry. So if you're on 22 in the question document, make sure you're filling in for 22. All right. And as we try this doing practice in class today and later on, right before the ACT, you'll get better at this, all right? If you have questions for me, even over like Friday and stuff, I don't mind helping you, all right? Thank you for watching this video. I'm going to put another one out, and also we'll be going over this in class. I don't mind helping you if you really want to do better. I'm here to help you, especially with the science portion. The other ones, I can kind of give you some hints and tricks too, all right?